Dr. Doom, and I am master of the world.
There, it is done. Now that the representative from South Africa has been mind-programmed, all of the world leaders on Earth are under my control, except for the Secretary General of the United Nations. Once I take care of him, I will electronically control all of the minds of the entire UN Assembly. And when they meet tomorrow in special session, I, Dr. Doom, shall be voted Master of the World. My plan is foolproof, but just in case, this nuclear-powered flying robot will see to it that Spider-Man never bothers me again.
Once again, Robot RO-33. This is no coincidence.
On time. Not to mention freaky, funky, and flaky.
All right, good. You cover the UN meeting, Mortimer, and take Parker with you. You'll need a photographer.
Right, Uncle Jonah. Maybe I can teach him something about good reporting. Now, you keep your eyes open, Parker. When I tell you, start snapping.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am risking my life to tell you of a grave matter which faces all members of the United Nations. And so it is with great concern that I must warn you that at this very moment there are among you... you must listen... Many of the delegates among you have had their minds taken over.
What a story! Start snapping, Parker!
Oh, only my super spider breath has kept me from passing out. They're abducting the Secretary General, and there's nothing I can do about it, as Peter Parker.
Let me tell you a little bit about the number 8. First of all spiders have 8 legs. Second of all, the World Wide Web, that forms the internet. Think about that.
Remove the sleep gas.
Parker? Parker! That chicken, he must have split.
We shall now vote for a new world leader. I nominate Dr. Doom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye! Oh no, this is impossible.
Dr. Doom is master of the world. Now that I am the appointed leader of all 7 of Earth's continents.
That's what you think, Tinhead! You forgot about your friendly neighborhood web spinner.
You apparently do not understand, Spider-Man. I am now master of the world.
Look, I don't care if you're master of Melvin's supermarket.
No! No! Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
I don't get it. You weren't kidding.
Correct, my web-headed friend. And there's nothing you can do about it. Guards, take this miserable traitor away.
So, it's playtime again. Okay, guys, it takes 2 to tumble.
Nah, I'm just kidding. It really circles back to the initial thesis which I presented in the very first episode of this podcast, that humanity, or at least the people in power and the ones pulling the strings, are being mind controlled by someone. And I specifically named Antarctica as my primary target because it's literally illegal for us to go there. And explain to me, like I'm 5 years old, how a bunch of military industrial complex countries that are organizing wars between themselves so that they can buy the weapons that they manufacture. How are these people wanting to protect us and thus restricting us from the freedom to go on a literal continent? How does this make any sense whatsoever? Anyway, we keep circling back to Antarctica, and in this podcast, I want to do things a little bit different. I want to make this episode a little bit more visual, a little bit less of me talking, and a whole lot more of actual video material, which will be used to substantiate my wild claims, because I realize that I say crazy things here, and I do need to bring some sort of proof, some sort of backing, you know. I'm so ready with this snake year to end, but I am speaking from 2025. If anyone revisits this in the future, but anyway, so this podcast, I want to do this a little bit different, and I want to show you a little bit more things, and yeah, basically this is the thesis, and this is the subject for now. The fallen angels, which I think they are imprisoned somewhere, maybe Antarctica, I don't know, but they are imprisoned somewhere. I mean, they're not particularly free, you know, but their influence somehow still slips by, and the quote-unquote free will of humanity is, I believe it's being overridden, in a sense that we do not get to choose the direction that is best for us. So there seems to be a certain variable which I don't want to rush to define what or who, or, you know, I really don't want to rush to define anything. No conclusion. We're just presenting stuff here. We're just discussing, right? But there do seems to be an adversarial variable to life itself, or at least in this reality in which I have incarnated, so I don't know. But anyway, enjoy this material, and we shall get back to talking.
Prophets, and then, but I mean, Enoch is apparently supposed to predate even the time of Genesis and talk.
The nuttiest one is Ezekiel.
I'm telling you, Enoch is even crazier than Ezekiel.
Like, explain the nuttiness of the Book of Enoch to people.
Well, it's okay. So if you read it, it talks about the fall of angels, thus creating really the precursor of civilization that led to the first flood. I think that when you even go into potentially the technology that was given to mankind by these angels, it talks about the hidden beliefs and theories in astronomy, etc., metalworkings, all of it. But it really does explain, you know, you were talking about earlier how you have a lot of these religions around the world that kind of say the same thing. This is kind of the OG text that leads to those stories that we're hearing from many religions around the world. To talk about angels mixing with mankind and then seeding a super essentially race of humans that essentially were responsible for basically damning mankind to the flood. I mean, you hear about stuff in Greek and Roman mythology, people who had these super crazy powers. And you talk about it out loud and it sounds crazy, but that's what the book says. And then the fact that it was taken out and then it's poo-pooed, yet you have one of the oldest religions in the world via the Ethiopians that actually still have it. You have, you know, the Catholic Church that has books that are missing out of the King James Version. I'm just saying that, you know, when you read it, you should read it and decide for yourself. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Don't listen to what you're saying, but truly give it a chance and see what you have to say. And then, you know, you're going back to this whole concept of if you have this information pertaining to UAPs, whatever they might be, the origins. I mean, if you have a understanding of what Enoch was talking about, kind of makes sense.
the really old stuff is very strange.
The Orthodox, I'm telling you, the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, I actually had a staffer that went to Ethiopia. She was on a church trip, and she actually brought me back a copy, and she's like, you can translate it via Google Translation, so kudos to modern day technology. So I have it in my office, and actually when I did my swearing in, I actually did my swearing in on the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible.
Wow.
It's cool. It's direct translation.
That's kind of crazy. This is nuts.
I think we're probably going to be responsible for like the Book of Enoch sales probably increasing on Amazon.
Well, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. I need to read it now.
You'll trip out if you read Enoch and then follow about the fall of mankind and the angels with, and this is Christian theology, right? So like angels came down, rebelled against God, interbred with humankind. That would be, I think, a good starting point for what potentially the Anunnaki were.
All right, so we have this video from the Joe Rogan Experience with Joe Rogan and Miss Luna something. I think she's a congresswoman. I'm not particularly sure because I'm not American and I don't really follow American politics that closely, but they do talk about the Book of Enoch. They do talk about the fallen angels. They do talk about this subject which I specifically mentioned in the last time. The fallen angels, when they descended on Mount Hermon in Syria/Israel, in that area at least. But Mount Hermon is located at latitude 33 degrees. And again, it's relevant. Yeah, it's just relevant. So another question I have about these fallen angels, right, is that are they in Antarctica, or what is it with Antarctica? And the next piece of evidence I want to show you is this interesting video segment on Buzz Aldrin, the first man on the moon, right? I don't know. Hey, it's something with the moon. You know that we never really went to the moon, and that was just all staged. And Kubrick tried to expose it in Eyes Wide Shut, but they cut a lot of time from the movie. They rewrote the script, which he wanted, to go beyond them and just do it anyway. And I think Kubrick is no more, right? I haven't done my research on any of these matters, but yeah, when they intervene like this directly, somebody's saying something relevant to some point of view. Again, no judgment. I'm just interested in all these things. So enjoy this little segment on Antarctica and Buzz Aldrin. And what is there? What is there?
You see, my surrogate mother was Viola Armstrong. She had a son named Neil.
Oh, really?
As you know, the story goes, he went down to Antarctica, had a heart attack, stroke combo, and came back. And then there was stuff on the internet. And I had to look at Buzz and ask him, Buzz, what happened down there, Bud? Buzz did say one thing, and it just stuck in my head. It's the way he said it. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And if Buzz saw something, I don't know what it was, but it was enough to give the man a heart attack. So if there are beings down there, I would think these beings never planned on us. They've been there, they came in millions of years ago. They've been under ice for millions of years. I don't think they were expecting us.
Let me ask the thing about Buzz Aldrin, that there was this very cryptic tweet that came out during his stay down there. He said, we have seen the faces of evil and we're all in danger. And this is right before he had his heart attack. And I can tell you, logistically, to do a medical evacuation from the interior of Antarctica is very difficult and very expensive. So something must have majorly gone wrong.
To underscore the fact that when the C-130 crew had dropped them off, they disappeared. And then when they went to try to find them, there was nothing at the National Science Foundation camp at all. Nothing.
They were
moving.
gone.
They
A
were
dozen
totally
scientists.
gone. And when they did show up, they had been missing for a couple of weeks. And Brian S. and the C-130 flight crew were then sent back. And they were expecting that they would see this group of scientists out to meet their plane, doing this, yelling something. And he said they were lined up like birds on a wire. They were all kind of next to each other, and most of them had their heads down looking at their feet when the C-130 was pulling up. And that somebody had to go from the flight crew over to the scientists and direct them to get onto the plane. And they talked about how not one single scientist said one word. Most of them walked with their looking down at the ground. Brian said when they got them loaded up, he said to his flight chief, "What in the world? Where have they been?" And the flight chief said, "I don't know. We can't get a word out of them." And during the flight, Brian went and sat down next to one of the scientists, and he said he leaned over and touched the scientist's knee, and the man never looked up. And he said, it was as if we were dealing with 12 or 15 people who had suffered post-traumatic shock syndrome, that they were unnaturally frozen in their position and no speaking, and that they all looked afraid. That one of the SEALs that I have talked to that is not in the video said that as they walked for a mile or 2 miles into these very strange created architectures, they reached a point where something started coming through the walls out into the air. At first, it would go in and out of visibility, and then they realized that their minds were being manipulated. And then when they could see it clearly, and it was coming in and out like a television signal in the air, it appeared to be covered with scales, like an armadillo, the surface of an armadillo. And he said, when you are face to face with something like that, and you are trained in military to kill, but you're dealing with something you've never seen, and it can go in and out of visibility, and you know that your mind is being taken over by something that you are fighting. He said that happened in one of those corridors, and that was 2012.
There's definitely something in Antarctica.
Alright, so this video was it was a doozy. In order to better understand these sorts of things, I feel like we have to go back just a little bit and talk about the Hermetic principles. The first principle, obviously, is that this is all mental. If Robert Edward Grant is right, and I believe he is, this universe is a U-inversed. We're all just, these are all just aspects of ourselves. I mean, we're all using the technology and the black screen mirrors every day, so duh. But if this is all true, all this information is true, and something is out there in Antarctica, then game theory would basically tell me it's like this. We have free will here, and there is a God. I believe there is a God. Plain and simple, right? There is a creator. There has to be. It's just, come on, man. When you have these two variables, so to speak, they're kind of conflicting because, okay, there is a God, there is a creator, there is an all-knowing, all-present, something. And then there is also free will, which is like, it's a separation from that state of permanent perpetuity and knowing. It's just, but once again, we are incarnated here, and we are humans, and we are being, I'm not even sure, tested or going to school. I'm not even sure. Because this place used to be a paradise, but I would not describe the world that we are living in now as a paradise. It really seems like the short season, if you were to take Revelation literally. Like it would really look like all the legions were loosened and allowed to deceive everyone, and they were allowed to do all this stuff, and that now we just, the test is that, can we remember who we are? Because let me tell you something, I am not a worker. I was not born to just slave away my life for pixels or fiat money with the faces of people that are supposedly better than me. This is an insult. And I say this very respectfully to everyone. I just don't consent. That's it. I just don't consent. You can't make me consent. This is the... Anyway, coming back to game theory. We have free will, supposedly, yeah? And most people, they think they have free will, and then they watch movies like Star Wars, which everybody watches, and they side with the resistance and all that. They watch the Hunger Games and they side with the people that the underdogs fighting in the Hunger Games and all that, which is fine, but in their life they really stand with the Empire. They literally pay their taxes to the Empire, listen to the Empire, take everything that the Empire tells them as reliable information, and maybe even truthful information, maybe even informative information, because information can be disinformation and information itself. But yeah, I don't know how we got here, but yeah, well, actually I don't know. And anyway. Anyway, so game theory says like this: can someone use their free will in a world of this deep, deep illusion to maybe, try to fix it? If it is true, which we're not supposed to be informed that it is true. Book of Enoch is not in the canonical collection of books from Christianity, except Ethiopian Christianity, which is weird and interesting at the same time, because supposedly that is the place where Christianity originated. And I want to make the argument that I see nobody else made. But then again, I also talked about colonialism, and I'm not British, so I may know, but I may not know something. Anyway, Ethiopia was one of a handful, less than 5 countries that were never conquered during those times. And I believe this was done by the protection of God. Plain and simple, man. Just plain and simple. They were protected. They do have an amazing geographic location, obviously. Mountains, water, all this. But there was a supernatural element, and I will just end there for now. But Book of Enoch was, I believe, it was historical. It was found in the Nag Hammadi scrolls. And something interesting I want to tell you about that. I was actually thinking before I recorded this episode, and I really want to do this. I want to expose one of God's secrets, how he operates to make his miracles, which, by the way, miracle, just like Matthias Di Stefano explained, is just others witnessing the process. It's just literally others observing something. That's the miracle. And you cannot spell miracle without ra. Miracle. Anyway, in the deserts, those places were not deserts. The fact that they are deserts now, it's a very recent, a relatively recent event. I would say they were more like savannas, because the polar nodes were different, and when you have different locations for the geomagnetic poles of the Earth, the weather patterns are, they are affected. This is why we see an intensification in just crazy weather events. Let's not talk about the weather manipulation weapons and techniques that the government has and uses and has patented. We just talk about the natural processes of the Earth because of naturally occurring phenomena, like the shifting of the pole shift, which is due to cause a geomagnetic excursion in the years of 2040 something. The point is, something is coming, and the electromagnetic field that shields the Earth is weakening. And with a weakened electromagnetic shield, a direct and powerful solar flare could just wipe us, just fry all the technology. It's kind of interesting. But it's kind of interesting, and it really ties in with the robots. I feel like it's a deep kill switch if the robots go wrong. Anyway. Let's not. Anyway. So I just wanted to tell you that I wanna present to you one of God's miracles. So now we have the deserts, right? These deserts, these sands, these are timeline inflection points, timeline nodal points. And because the winds can shift the sands so easily, the elements have the most, how do I say it to you? The elements have the easiest and the most direct way to shift a nodal point that would cause a ripple and align to a specific timeline where this nodal point exists. So what I'm telling to you is that it's easier to shift timelines in a desert than it is in a city, because in a city you have so many variables that some stay the same, like the buildings, they roughly stay the same, but the people in the buildings, the objects in the windows, all these small literal variables are ever changing, and it's just it's chaos. It's pure chaos from a timeline mechanics point of view. But compare that to a desert. When the wind doesn't blow, it's dunes. It's it's pretty unmoved. And when something needs to be exposed, spirit can just come in through the form of wind, of the element itself, and just intervene, do the work directly, which is awesome, which is pretty cool. Compare that to a mountain, for example. A mountain is a nodal synchronization point, because a mountain really tends to be the same in most timelines. A mountain cannot really move. I mean, it can, according to Christ, and if you have the faith of the size of a mustard seed, which I always love that parable. But anyway, so the Book of Enoch was historical because it was found in the Nag Hammadi scrolls, and this was exactly how it was done. The whole story of how they discovered the Nag Hammadi scrolls, it's pure timeline mechanics if I've ever read a story. So there was a cave, and there were these urns, this pottery, whatever. And these potteries had the scrolls. And there was this goat farmer, I think, goat shepherd or something. It was some guy with the animals that was roaming nearby anyway. And one night it got cold, and I think One of his goats, I think, ran away from the flock. He came searching for it, and he ended up in a cave where he threw a stone and something broke, and then he heard that there was a potter inside. But at that time a sandstorm came, and he was stuck inside, and it was getting pretty cold, and he started to burn some of the manuscripts which he found in the cave to keep himself warm. And then he was chased by someone. Then he left these scrolls with the story is just crazy, and I'm sorry if I don't remember details specifically, but you can seriously just look it up yourself and read it. It's wild. And he reached some old monk or something in a I don't know, some monastery or some desert temple or something like that. And then there were the realizations that, oh my god, what have we found here? Then somebody actually read the scrolls, because the farmer was illiterate and he had no idea what he stumbled upon. Anyway, so these Nag Hammadi scrolls basically found a whole lot of, I guess, gospel, which gospel literally translates into good news. They found a lot of the gospels, and they found a lot of supposedly Gnostic books, just like the Book of Enoch and the what's it called? The Gospel of Thomas, which again, both of those are not in the canonical Christian lore, so to speak. But I really, really love those because, well, the Book of Enoch, we talk about that now, but as a small side note, the Gospel of Thomas is just, you really come to know Christ like he was never presented to you. Like, you kind of see his darker side, his more arcane side, I guess. But anyway, so coming back to this, I want to present you next, because we already talked about Antarctica and all this. I want to present you something very interesting that I found, and we will talk about it shortly.
I hear something terrifying. The Prophecy of the Popes.
Oh boy.
This book was found in the Vatican archives. Predicted every single pope from in 1143 all the way to our current pope. But the scary thing is, after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day.
Oh gosh.
It literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yes. The creepiest thing that I saw inside St. Paul's Basilica, bordering the whole inner sanctuary, is every single pope. But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers to where you can put a picture. There's one left after Pope Francis. They have always said that once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. What he predicted, the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about, halfway mark, was 422 years. And he's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 years from the middle pope, which was 1585, that year is 2027.
Dang!
It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, and he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027 as well.
Do you want to know how old I will be in 2027? This is just perfect, man. I'm literally gonna be 33 years old. So, I don't know. What I do know is that I want to show you something about the Pope. And then I want to talk to you why the Pope, because all the popes choose their names. They're not really named their official name, you know. They choose, like, quote unquote, their stage name. But let me just show you something, and then I will explain it to you. Alright, so in the left part we have a post dated from 8th of May 2025, posted at 11:11 a.m. It's titled 888, and it's with a poem of mine called High Priest shaman. Now, something, I'm not going to read you the whole poem. You can read it yourself. But something very interesting. And again, English second language. Okay, so give me a break. You can see very clearly the world crystallizing. And it is my mistake that I spelled it with two L's. Because it's supposed to be spelled with an L. But it's supposed also to be spelled with an S, not a Z. Not crystallizing, but crystallizing correctly, I think. But I spelled it that way unknowingly, and now I saw it in Gematria that it was the same value as Pope Leo XIV. Well, why is this relevant? Because in the very poem, and I will read you two of the lines, I specifically the city of London inside London, and named it the head of the dragon. And I also named the Vatican audience hall, and I saved my turn, the head of the viper. Because if you actually look at the Vatican audience hall, bro, that's a snake. That's a literal snake. And if you do not see it, throw away your toothbrush and your toothpaste with fluoride. Just stop brushing your teeth altogether, honestly. But this was posted on 8th of May at 11 a.m. and Pope Leo was elected on 8th of May at 6 p.m. It was literally 7 hours after I posted my poem. And this poem is still dated, is still available on my Twitter. It's literally, the proof is still there. So, is this coincidence? I don't know, you tell me. What I do want to tell you is that the Bible is basically a book of timeline mechanics. It has anchor points. These anchors are nodal points for multiple timelines. Again, I just explain you how it all works with the desert example. But still, it's the same logic. If a variable changes, then that's the timeline jump. That's the Mobius band twist, and that is the unique shift that occurs in the causality loop of a certain reality. It's very interesting, but at the same time, it's not that hard to grasp once you understand it fully. So anyway, how did I predict and how did I know when to talk about the Vatican? On the very, very same day the Pope was elected and chose his name as Pope Leo XIV, which Leo is the opposite of Aquarius. And if you do know astrology like me, you know that ever since 2023, when Pluto went into Aquarius in March, I think, we officially entered the golden age of Aquarius until 2044. Why? Because it was at that time, at that specific astrological placement, that in 1776, so 1776, it was at that time that Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati.
Sabbatai Zevi claimed to be the Jewish Messiah. The Sultan of the Ottoman Empire said to him, "Convert to Islam." Zevi converted to Islam, but he didn't really. They ran this Sabbatean operation as a cult, manipulating themselves into positions of power and taking them over. And then in the next century, along came Jacob Frank. Frank claimed that he was the reincarnation of Sabbatai Zevi and the Jewish patriarch Jacob. And he became connected to the Rothschilds. Part of what Jacob Frank did was to infiltrate the Roman Church. Three of them, Weishaupt, Rothschild, and Jacob Frank, created the Bavarian Illuminati. And the Bavarian Illuminati were behind many revolutions. The Rothschilds, they got together with other Jewish, I would say Sabbatean, banking families in Germany. And they basically created the modern banking system. The Rothschilds are not Jewish, they are Sabbatean, an inversion of it. They've used Jewish people as the cover, the shield, which is why no one needs to know this story more than Jewish people, because they've been shafted and misled more than anyone else.
And it was under the same placement as we have nowadays. So what this tells me is that this is where the new world order will finally emerge. And humanity will have to choose its side. The sides are very simple, in my humble opinion. But let us continue with this informational segment. And this has been my weird happening with the Pope and my weird poem, which is one of many, but yeah, let us continue. One more detail I want to add about this is that the Hydra has basically three main heads. The financial head is the City of London inside London, which is a separate place itself. Separate from London, I mean, but inside the City of London. Weird, but yeah. It's Vatican inside Italy, which is its own country, obviously. And Washington, D.C., which is the, politics. I kind of mix up the Hydra symbolism because it's also the Vax that supposedly had Hydra vulgaris, the parasite. Which, if we circle back to the Ash show, as above, so below, as within, so without, the Hermetic principles which we just talked about. Parasites really may be just infection proxies, mind control proxies, because that's what a parasite does. It secretes chemicals, and these chemicals are read by the host as its own emotion, and basically, mind controls its host. That's what a parasite does. But anyway, this is what I will say about the subject for now. And I do have another edition on the fallen angels, right? So when the fallen angels descended, they supposedly mated with human females and gave birth to a race of giants called the Nephilim. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. But they just gave birth to this race of giants that these giants were so blood hungry and so ravenous, and so they were literally killing everything, and it was pretty bad, and everybody just asked God to, bro, just flood this place, man. Just clean it up, bro. And that's basically the antediluvian civilization and antediluvian myths, as far as I understand. But I do want to show you this very interesting segment I found on the Nephilim and what happened after the floods, because I did not really know this, but this kind of ties in with the Masons and with the Illuminati as well. So enjoy this segment, and we shall talk about it afterwards.
Turns out Nephilim look like clowns. A dude named Paul Stobbs wrote a book on it. There are a number of videos on YouTube if you want to deep dive and get into it. Apparently they were cannibalizing humans, which makes sense, and they got the blood all over here, hence the red mouth, pale skin, red hair. I feel an Esau connection there, who did marry 2 Canaanite women. And then when you consider things like this, what's that? Red mouth, red hair, pale skin. And you consider the shrine circus, and it turns out the modern day clowns were created by, the Bricklaying Brotherhood. Well, this is a 32nd degree right here. Mr. Gacy believing to have been a member of that Shriner thing. The fact that P.T. Barnum was a Freemason. as were the Ringling brothers. And all of it apparently goes back to ancestor worship, which is not meaning worshiping your great-great-great-grandparents, but having to do with worshiping the fallen ones, the ones that were the kings, the Nephilim. The circus is part of it, the striped tents, what they're wearing. See how the ringleader wears a top hat? That looks familiar. So you guys want to dig into it, go watch that guy's videos on YouTube. Then you'll know what I know. Now, an awful lot of kids are scared of clowns for good reason, turns out. And it makes sense because your DNA contains memory. So, are people scared of clowns because their actual ancestors, their DNA, knew what the Nephilim looked like, and that's why people are scared of clowns to this day? Highly likely. I personally had an encounter with a demonic clown entity. I was 7 years old. I was going down to the basement. I was looking for somebody in the house. Nobody was in there. I get to the bottom of the stairs. It was pitch black in the basement. I saw 2 toys being thrown into the toy room. That scared me enough. I started running up the stairs, and because the stairs were on an angle, there was a corner step. My sister's diaper pail was there. A clown leapt up from behind it. It was on a step. There's no room to be anything hiding behind it, and it was a clown. It scared the shit out of me. I ran upstairs. This was not a dream. In that same townhouse that I lived, my brother also had an encounter with a clown entity. His may or may not have been a dream. I don't know. But in that same house, I also had an encounter with this red veiled demon who was floating towards my room. And then I put the covers over my head trying to scream for help. I couldn't. My voice was gone. And I woke up in the morning. So, but that totally makes sense with that clown experience that I had. That scared the shit out of me. Oh, interesting. A clown? Nephilim? Oh, yeah. It's all making sense now.
So, why is the clown angle so important with this Nephilim? Well, many people who are dissatisfied, to say the least, often use the term clown world to describe this place. I am one of the few, or one of the many, that actually does it myself, so it's totally relatable to me too. But this detail with the clown actually goes deeper, and again, it's another coincidence that is deeply, deeply personal, and I will show you why. What you see here in the most left part, in the most leftist, I don't know how to say that word again, sorry. But in the very left part, you have a logo of a sphinx looking at a star. That is the sphinx gazing at the star Regulus, an alignment, an astrological alignment, which will occur in 2026. Star Regulus is from the constellation Leo. This is the reason why Pope Leo chose his name, Leo. Once again, Leo is the opposite of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, in which we are here. And if you look up the chapter Luke 22:10, so Luke 22:10, we have a very codified hint that Christ will return in the age of Aquarius, in the coming age of Aquarius. Because the water pitcher was, at the time, it was a specifically female job. It's a small detail that people oftentimes miss. So anyway, coming back, in the center we have my poem, which was written on February the 7th, 2025. I will at some point redo these, because the year when I do them, you know, it just it shows like this. But I have to wait a year and then go back into the archive, screenshot them again, and it will display the year on Instagram. Anyway, so something very interesting happened. First of all, the poem is titled Clown World Christ, which, you know, kind of on a nose. It is part 3. I have the habit of writing multiple poems that tend to be very long. The themes tend to be very extended, and I have to split them up into smaller ones just to be more digestible, and I just make it in parts, you know. And the weird coincidence with this poem is that First of all, we have some wordplay. Some wordplay, basically. Deep web, deep time. You know, it's funny because it starts with D. That's what it is. I just write poems. I don't do much. And then I also wrote that he's a ghost, in the sense that I don't want to explain because I had no thought at the time. I just tried to rhyme. Whenever I write poems, people think I'm some kind of tyrant or something. And from the intro, you know, it's easy to see that. But I just try to rhyme whenever I write, and what comes out, it kind of comes out, you know. It is what it is. It's just art. It is what it is. And again, it was written on February the 7th at 11:11 once again. But on February the 18th, I saw this specific news on X. It was about a ghost particle, which and it came from deep space. And I did this wordplay with deep literally 3 times in the first sentence of this place. And we can ignore all these coincidences by themselves, but I do want to stick to the facts that we have here. The Sphinx will align with star Regulus from constellation Leo in 2026. This will happen. Romania, RO. Oh, interesting. RO, it's basically 33, and this was on the 18th. So R. Interesting. Rated R. Interesting. But Romania also has a Sphinx. Also has a Sphinx, and I'm not sure if that will align with the star Regulus, but according to a certain or more conspiracies, there is something under the Bucegi Mountains in Romania, and there are tunnels to Egypt from there. But what do I know? You know, this is what we have so far, and this is what we are working with until 2026 comes. It's gonna be a very, very interesting year. Even the Sphinx in Egypt, the proportions of its head, practically the head is way too smaller in comparison to its body. So the theory is that it used to be the face of Anubis. The Sphinx was literally Anubis, the dog, the coyote. What is Anubis anyway? And they wanted to change it into a cat, which is, hey, one of the details that I find it fascinating about cats. Actually, 2 details. First is that they are the only hosts of Toxoplasma gondii, the parasite that makes you get sexual pleasure from fear, from something that would otherwise provoke fear responses. It makes you sexually attracted to danger. It's wild. But the second is that if you look at their pupils, they have horizontal pupils, right? No, or vertical. I think they have vertical pupils, and they are the only cats that have these kinds of eyes, these kinds of pupils. Same as snakes, by the way, which is very, very interesting. And in Egypt, they're kind of like the sentient watchers that reported on everyone, energetically, so to speak. Because if a cat looks at you and it looks away intentionally, is because you have a high vibration and the cat knows that, and the cat plays mind games with you and ignores you and tries to make you aware that it ignores you. The cats are very different. They're fascinating creatures. Very beautiful, but man. They're all mind games. Cats are all mind games. But yeah, coming back to the Sphinx, 2026 will be a huge year. Especially for me. Because I am a dog, and it will be a horse year, and horse and dogs are actually, the dog is the 11th sign, and the horse is the 7th sign. Interesting numbers, huh? And according to numerology, these two numbers are, well, they are a good pair. And dog and horse are also best friends and a strong combo. So I very much wait the next year. I very much wait to see what kind of consciousness expansion developments I will see both on myself and in the world, in the outside world, so to say, which is really my inside world. But this whole theory with the mind control, with the, I hope all these materials shed a little bit of light on this very weird hypothesis, because this is not an easy hypothesis to come to terms with in terms of its validity. We can kid ourselves that this is all just, storytelling. But I miss the old world. I miss the old world, It's just that simple for me. I really remember a time where energy was free. This is not it. This can't be it. This is not it. This is just not it, But anyway, this has been a very beautiful episode. And I actually want to end on a sort of mystery note. I will leave you with this. And I will not say anything. I will just leave a moment of silence so that you can read and see what you feel, For me, once again, this is just art. I write something, I post it, I get a timestamp, and then I observe what life does, what this universe unravels, how it happens. And if I feel like there is a connection, a relevant connection, because I see a lot of connections and most of them, who gives a whatever. But if I feel like a connection is very relevant, then I try to make a logical collage just to illustrate the point that I am seeing. Because again, I feel like this is art for me. This is just art. I am painting a picture. Everyone wants a little bit of entertainment, which etymologically, once again, government, enlightenment, that ment in Latin means mind, and once again, entertainment is enter plus attain plus ment. Everybody wants a little bit of entertainment to relax. And hopefully this entertainment uplifts and contributes to the positive spiral of growth in consciousness rather than to dampen it. Because progress can be in two ways, more or less. And as above, so below, as within, so without. Sometimes it is kind of paradoxical like that you have to lose in order to win, and you have to win in order to lose. This is just the joy and the beauty of this life. We don't know, but at the same time, it's better that we don't know, because would you watch a movie with spoilers? Or would you just want to live it and see how it goes? Once again, I feel like everybody has to make a choice. And I really hope that this content is first of all entertaining to you, and second, it presents you information that would help you somehow, or would help someone, or would benefit someone. And that's it, man. That's it, you know. That's it. I do this because I'm very passionate and that I think about these subjects, and I really want to talk about these subjects, but at the same time, people are busy, people are tired, you know. You can't just pop up into someone's life and start rambling the way I do. Because you can see that I can talk about these. I can talk about these a lot. So, this has been the episode. Thank you very, very much for listening and being here with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episodes. I have a lot planned. And once again, if you want to write me, find the email downstairs and don't forget to do it. Alright? Peace out, people. I'll see you in the next one.